Paul here from Behind the Lens. Yes, indeed. And today I'm going to share some of the experiences I have from my first 60 days trying to build and record my own YouTube channel. So yeah, I'm going to share you basically some tips and hints if you're thinking of starting out or you're just like me already just started. So first of all, the choice here is big when you start. Do you buy a camera or do you use your mobile phone? Now, to be very honest, most of the flagship phones over the last 3 years support HD 1080 recording at 24 frames per second, or they even do 4K. Regardless, you can easily use your smartphone regardless of what you want to have. If you already have a camera like I had, I like photography. This is more like a project, you know, so for me, I use the G7. I've just changed lenses from the 14mm into the 1260, hoping I don't get as much focus hunting as I had with the previous clip. So the choice here is, do you do mobile or do you use a normal camera? And if you have the camera, also realize yourself, a DSLR might not be the best for video. You have loads of system and bridge cameras, which you can really use for shooting on your YouTube channel. Unless you go fully cinematic, guys, be smart. It's a hobby. The chances of getting 1 million followers are there, but most of us won't. I'm already happy with 18 and I hope to increase them over time. Yeah, that brings me to my second point. Once you've made that choice, smartphone or camera, you're still going to have to make a choice whether or not you're going to shoot with lenses. Now, if you have some of the camera systems that have built-in lenses, that's not going to be your issue. But if you're focusing like me on the G7, yeah, lenses are a part of it because it's a body camera. You need to mount your own lenses onto it. For mobile phones, if you have, let's say, one of the flagship phones and you know it's no older than 3 years old, you don't really need a lens because the functionality in those phones are pretty much guaranteed. So you can do wide angle, you can do portrait, you can do macro, you can do night filming. Bizarrely enough, mobile phones do come with apertures as deep as 1.6 at times, or even 1.5. So you really don't need to invest in additional lenses unless you really know what you're doing and you want to have wide angle lenses. That I've seen does help. With macro lenses, I'd be very careful. So wide angle, I can see. Macro lens, be careful. But anyways, those things cost 20, 50 euros. So it's not going to break your bank. If you have a bit of cash, you can still do it. When it comes to your lenses on your camera, you know, guys, again, this is a 1260. I have the 14mm. I have two other ones, 20 and 25mm, all Panasonics. Yeah, so they're all micro 4/3. Yeah. To be very honest, the kit lens 1260 and the 14mm are my two favorite ones for vlogging. They have less of an autofocus, less of a hunting on focus, even in tracking mode, than the other lenses. But to be very honest, for vlogging, normally my camera does a better job, but I just refuse to shoot on camera. But that's me, I'm an old guy. Then it comes to the lighting, and as most YouTubers will tell you, lighting is key, essential and everything. And then most of the times you get the softbox, which I have as well, but one of these things with 5 bulbs into them. I really don't get that personally. I think a good strong 1 bulb softbox does the trick. Yeah, I'm a bit overexposed right now. An umbrella, and you have an umbrella stand as well with a little light bulb which kind of diffuses the light. I guess that's the most important thing. I've bought 2 stands with umbrellas and lights and 1 softbox with a light bulb included as well for 35 euros on an auction site for bankrupt companies. So you really can get them cheap. You just have to look into it, and remember, you're just starting out, so you can always upgrade, but downgrading is shite. Don't do it. Downgrading bad, upgrading good. Yeah. Then I think one of the more important points here is audio, and I've seen quite a few YouTube guys who do photography, filming with excellent tips, and all of them say the same: invest a bit in your audio. Now that doesn't have to be much. Yeah, I for instance have 2 Boya mics, the one I'm wearing right now. This is only a day old, so I've already tested it and the sound quality is fantastic. So I'm pretty happy with it actually. And I have the Boyo hot shoe mic, which you put on your camera. And that is pretty awesome as well. For indoor vlogging, I don't think it's really well because the distance between myself and the camera is at least 1.5 meters. So for sound recording of voices, I think this is much better, this lapel or lavalier mic. But when it comes to outdoor filming, I have to admit that Boyo with the huge cat wig or muff wig as I call it really does a fantastic job. Now this mic is 24 euros and the bigger one you can put on your hot shoe is about 34 euros. So if you really amount that and you take one of these choices, let's say you go for this one, it's 25, together with this deal I had on lighting, makes 60 euros. So for 60 euros you basically have got your beginning setup, you've got your camera, you've got your lights, you've got your audio. That's all you need, right? Yeah, that's all you need. But you also need to, and this is what I found the hard way, in editing teaches you a lot. First of all, it's a frustrating process if you not really know what you're doing like I am. Now I'm of course an expert. No, I'm not, but I'm a hell of a lot better. And what I noticed is, first of all, if you go into editing and you're a simple person like me who just likes to have a bit of music, no cinematic things. It's great if you have a professional look, but for me it's okay. Please look at your mobile phones. Your app stores has fantastic film editing apps, movie editors, so you can have Video Taker, Director Q. I believe Apple has iMovies. Very, very much focused on intuition and logic, and you can pretty much slice, dice, trim, add some music, do some stickers, change some of the color settings, and whoop, off you go. That is fantastic. But I'm a desktop kind of guy because my mobile phone is simply too small. I am getting old. Eyes are not so good anymore. So I have tried, based on recommendations, quite a few editors over the last 2 months. And the one thing I noticed, if you shoot, so the format you shoot in, that makes a difference. First of all, what I've learned is to choose 24 frames per second. 50 frames per second gives you fantastic detail, really cinematic thing. But my God, a simple 10-minute film will be many gigs. And that's what you have to drag in from your desktop into your video editor. And then you need to have a machine which can handle all of that processing. So I quickly scaled back to 1080 HD with a 24 frame rate. Now, the great thing about that in editing is it really makes a difference in the amount of memory that your machine has to use. It really does. The downside is that all of a sudden I don't look so good anymore. I used to be a Brad Pittian-like character. Well, now I'm a bit more like a male version of Cruella, but anyways, in HD 1080 it's much more easier to edit. And with editing you also learn that if you shoot into 4K, in 4K with 50 frames per second you have a very wide view, while as you go into HD 1080 your view becomes much more narrow, which with this background is a blessing. Yeah. With that, there's a few things you need to keep into mind as well. And I think the biggest one is that most of the YouTubers who put out this fantastically professionally looking content, and I really love what those guys are doing, tend to be professionals. So they are either in the film industry, they're marketeers, they're mostly on the creative side of life, they're audio technicians, all of it. A lot of them have their bases in Los Angeles. Guess what? There's also where Hollywood is. But for them, it's a business. YouTube is a business. They are content creators. They're not as much influencers, but they're content creators. So some of these guys make fantastic looking B-rolls, but they've got the number of subscribers, the number of viewers, the number of likes, and they've got companies willing to offer them goods for free to test them out. Now, most of us are not that way. So don't focus on that. Try to focus on making your videos pretty good content-wise. YouTube likes us to watch for 10 or 15 minutes, but let's be very honest. If I have to put out 10, 15 minutes of content every time, I need a lot to talk about. Yeah. So with that, don't treat it as a business in the beginning. Just try to get out some quality. And what I've seen, the more you look at your own materials, the more critical you become. So this take is now, I guess, the 5th or 6th or 7th I'm taking, and I'm still probably not happy after this one. But that's the only way, by doing, I'll actually learn it. Whether it's editing, whether it's the right audio setup, camera configurations. Yeah, there's a lot of people who give all kind of configurations on how to shoot and blah 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 blah. And to be very honest, those are very handy. But all those tips gave me focus hunting, whether I was on manual or not. That's also the type of lens and the way the G7 is built. When I do this on my camera, on the other hand, it's not as bad. But there's also challenges there. Yeah, so whatever you do, I'm pretty much discovering this is a skill, sometimes even a craft, so practice makes perfect, I guess. Yeah, and with that, guys, please don't forget to subscribe. I would love it if you like my video, and if you subscribe, even better. I think it's over here, or over here, you see the little red button. And with that, I would really like to thank you for your attention, because this was a long vlog. Thank you very much. See you next time.